Welcome to the Dallas Duo podcast,
your weekly wellness coffee date.
We're friends in Dallas, always looking for the best ways to optimize our health
and have fun along the way.
Welcome back to the Dallas Duo podcast. We're so excited to welcome Dora Toma. Dora is a functional medicine health coach and the founder of Fertility to Wellness.
She specializes in women's fertility and hormonal health, guiding women to identify mineral and gut imbalances, optimize nutrition, and implement lifestyle strategies that support conception and vibrant pregnancies. Her program, Foundations for Fertility and Wellness, empowers women to rebuild their health foundations and step into their wellness with confidence. Welcome.
Hi, I'm so happy you're here.
Well, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity. I'm so excited, and I'm a huge fan of both of you. And
Thank you.
In life and in internet and Instagram and everything.
Well,
and now podcasts, of course.
I'm so excited for people to learn more, but tell us how we got here. Like, what led you to focus on fertility and hormonal health in the first place?
Own personal journey. Started obviously with my own health and hormone imbalances. I wanted to get pregnant eventually, and started getting into this rabbit hole of like getting more answers. I wanted to get clear answers and not just band-aids. And stumbled upon functional medicine, started to heal my gut, and then my cycles came back. And then started my acne to come off and things, so on and so forth. And I was really empowered, and that is how I became a functional medicine health coach from the beginning.
Wow.
Because seeing the amazing changes and amazing differences that just focusing on the whole body as a whole and always starting with food first and just the philosophy of this in general, and made so much sense to me. And that kind of steered me from working in hotels and doing accounting and numbers and selling, become a health coach. Fertility, decided I wanted to get pregnant after going through that amazing journey, and I got pregnant. But unfortunately, 23 weeks. So I was a little bit over halfway into that pregnancy. I went to premature labor and had to give birth to our first daughter. Unfortunately, because she was so tiny, she could not survive. So she only lived about 30 minutes. That gave me that aha moment, realizing that I thought I knew so much, but I didn't know anything, especially when it comes to fertility. And there is not enough support. It marks right now, in a week, it marks 7 years since that happened.
I'm so sorry that happened to you.
Thank you. Even though it's been 7 years since then, I still feel like there is not enough support. Still see women coming to me, still feeling like they're lost and don't have the answers and the support that they need. So that's kind of how it all began.
I think it's so incredible. Like, I don't think that people meet you and think like, oh, I bet she used to work in, like corporate America, 80-hour weeks. And I just think how incredible it is to say like you had this traumatic life-changing event and that you were able to say, I'm going to devote my life to like women who have been through the same thing, or to prevent women from the same thing. Because most people don't get to do that. Yeah. Go through something and say like, I want to change the dialogue. I want to change the trajectory for other people who are walking in my shoes, or even to prevent people from walking in those same shoes.
Yeah, you made a complete pivot. I was not expecting that. I didn't know that was your background. So that is so interesting to me.
Well, there is a connection. I love numbers, and I still love numbers, and that's why I love going through labs. So
she's like the lab guru. I'm like, I don't want to review this. Deep in my pregnancy, when I like had brain fog, I was like, please look at these numbers for me. I can't.
Yeah, it's awesome that like those skills transfer to this area that you're so passionate about.
Thank you. Yes. And it's rewarding. It's definitely rewarding, and going through working with women in their journey of achieving a successful pregnancy, having a healthy baby. And that's kind of throughout the years, I started to spread and start working with women that are not trying to conceive. They're outside of that world. They want to come back to their normal self after having kids and even working with kids, because it all comes down. And I think that kind of like the core element, not only my personal journey, but another journey is I have a daughter. I didn't mention that, but after going through my own healing journey, I got pregnant again, had a healthy daughter. She's 5.5 almost, and she's amazing. But bringing into the world, and I think was even when I was young, I was like, bringing into the world, this world has a lot of goods, a lot of bads. I want to have a good environment for the future generations. And seeing so many issues with kids and health issues with kids, chronic issues back in the day, 50, 60, 100 years ago, we used to be considered adult, old age chronic conditions. Now they're seeing in kids. So my idea was like, okay, want to have healthy kids, but in order to get that, ideally, we need to work on the preconception part. So it's the supporting the family and supporting that baby's future before even the time that the egg met the sperm.
Yeah, it feels so lofty when you talk to somebody who doesn't think about like, preconception health optimization, because in actuality, like my preference is, well, like a year before you conceive, I'd like to, do all these things. But most people come to me like, well, I'm looking to get pregnant next week. So,
I'm already
like
pregnant.
we are, or I'm already pregnant. Now what can I
What
do?
now?
Right. It's like trying to get people to take like that, big picture, wide lens approach of like, okay, my 5-year plan and applying it to fertility. Not like most of us are like, oh, well, okay, I'll get healthy now that I'm pregnant, or I'll get healthy after I'm pregnant, because it doesn't matter during pregnancy. Everybody has their own stereotypes.
And oftentimes it's about, there is a saying, and I don't very much like just for how it kind of brings in the idea, but if somebody wants to have a good detox, they can just get pregnant. And the reason why is that the body goes through the biggest massive detoxification process during pregnancy. And the reason why is that the body will always prioritize the baby and the fetus. And if we are lacking nutrients, we're lacking minerals, the body will take anything out that is out there. And that happens to be heavy metals, if it's, or toxins or anything that. So we're passing on, instead of passing good quality nutrients to give good start for their life, we're passing on here's some arsenic, here's some aluminum, mercury, and all sorts of other things, lead and whatever. Because that's what we had available at that time. So it gives an idea of how important it is to have a good solid start before trying to conceive, and having a clear environment in the womb and in the body to provide that healthy and secure and safe future for that child.
What does that really look like for somebody who's like, okay, I'm looking at having a baby in the next few years? Like, what do foundations for fertility really mean for you? Because I think, the common American female is like, okay, well, I'm going to get really skinny because I'm going to gain weight during my pregnancy. So I'm going to eat, low calorie, and maybe I'll stop drinking, maybe like right before I have a baby. But there's so many pieces, I think, that are probably missed in what you would consider foundations.
Yes, exactly. And definitely alcohol plays a big role. And I always like to recommend to minimize to the least. I don't like to put rules like everybody. But
I did. I told my husband, I was like, we will not be drinking for 3 months.
Yes, that is supposed to be, right? For at least for the minimum of that. But some people just come from a different background. But typically the people who step in to my office, like you've said, Whitney, are those people who I've been trying to conceive. And I just discussed a few minutes ago with a couple. They've been trying for 12 years. So it's not like they just started and like, oh, they just want to make sure that they're healthy. And okay, you can have once a month a glass of something if it's your birthday, if it's New Year's, whatever.
That's such a good point, because some people are on like a very long-term journey with it.
But if they are in that long term, like, let's get this out, because this is definitely not serving you. And we really need to focus on supporting your body, get back it on its feet. The reason why is fertility is it's our kind of like our body's way to say, I am safe and I feel good. Because if the body doesn't feel safe, it's dealing with inflammation, infections, nutrient deficiencies, you name it, then it's going to prioritize survival. It's not going to prioritize fertility. Fertility creation, it takes a lot of energy and takes a lot of toll on the body. What are these foundations? Like I said, there's not the skinny and not the cutting the carbs. Actually, they've done tests. And they've tested that people that were doing even very low caloric deficit diets, they had a lower estrogen level. Healthy people being on a low caloric deficit, they had a lower estrogen than normal. So the amount of food definitely impacts our hormones. So making sure that we are eating enough and eating with our circadian rhythm, eating consistently, having at least 3 meals a day, blood sugar balance is so important. So having enough protein, but not just that. I tend to see throughout time, people are like, I'm getting my protein, but where is your fiber?
I just had this conversation. My patient's going to watch this and she's like, you told her.
No, you did not tell me. But we need to get 30 types of different plants a week. So, and oftentimes
it's so hard. What do Americans eat, like 6? I mean, when you start counting, it's like,
you really think about that 30, it sounds like a lot.
And I mean, if we think about it, well, there are, the green leafy vegetables and there are the mushrooms and then there are so many other fruits. But people tend, even that they're eating fiber with every meal, they tend to eat the same plant, the same tomato, same cucumber, same, hey, I'm guilty. Don't look at me, I'm the master of it. But it's definitely hard having that mindset of like, oh, I need to eat a lot more fiber, a lot more veggies, fruits, and all that, and not just plain old things that are easy to grab.
What's the type of fiber? I'm just thinking about this as you're talking. What is a type of fiber that you think that you see that like most people are lacking when you say that like people are eating the same things over and over again?
Well, it's not just the fiber typically is about the same. Right? If you're looking at fiber that you buy from stores, there can be extracted from different plants. Have a diverse, create that rainbow of colors. If, trying to eat the red color food, purple color food, red, orange, or yellow, white.
I think starchy vegetables are like a big one, is that people don't realize that like red potatoes have fiber or that that starchy vegetables that have carbohydrates also contain fiber too, because I think in our head, we're just like, oh, it's only like the green ones. So I have patients who are like kale and spinach and asparagus, but they like don't eat the other ones that have like other benefits too. And so we forget about that category. Like I think in the fall, because now it's like squash and people are more likely to eat it, but the rest of the year, I think people sometimes forget about that category.
Yes, I agree. Even when it comes to starch, we can get actually from rice as well. If we cook it and let it cool, we can get that resistant starch that our gut microbiome loves to eat. Yeah. The same thing with the potatoes. If we can cook them, let them cool, and just warm them up. So before we eat, because then nobody likes to eat soggy and cold potatoes. I don't.
Yeah.
But
my son would beg to differ. But
he likes cold sweet potatoes.
He likes cold food.
Yes. That's so funny.
That's funny. But yeah, I mean, just kind of like as diverse as possible, but definitely we do not want to forget about the starch. And oftentimes people especially in the weight loss journey, or they're like, oh, I want to be low carb, or the PCOS oftentimes with insulin resistance, and they're fearing starch. And oftentimes those type of people are depleted, especially when it comes to looking at their hair mineral test, they're depleted. And the main source of energy for that should be complex carbs, because they cannot use fat as fuel because it's too expensive from an energy standpoint to burn it.
So you mentioned hair mineral tests. So give us a kind of quick synopsis of what that is, because I think it's fascinating and it's helped so many of my patients. But most people don't know what that is and how it can be helpful for hormone health and conception.
I mean, first of all, minerals are just the spark plugs. They're the initial foundational thing for the body to function. It works and they contribute to anything that's happening in the body, from endocrine function and hormone production to digestion to liver detoxification to brain function to DNA function. Everything that you can imagine, minerals are taking a role. And when it comes to hormones and fertility, we oftentimes look at detoxification and hormone production, right? And there are some minerals, right? something like sodium and potassium. They always give us information about how the body is dealing with stress and how burnout it is. Magnesium plays a role in stress and adrenal function, but also well as insulin resistance, ovary issue, or ovary function. And then zinc and copper, they play a big role in estrogen metabolism and quality. So the hair tissue meta-analysis, it's basically taking information of that has been growing on your hair, right? Basically, as our hair grows slow, and inside our scalp, the hair follicle it's kind of free, and nutrients and lymph and everything goes through the hair. And once it comes out of our scalp, it becomes a hard shell that we can see. So it locks in all that information that's been happening since the hair was growing. So when we're getting a test like this, a hair tissue meta-analysis, we are getting information what's been going on in the body for the last 2 to 3 months. We're counting about an inch and a half as close to the scalp. So we're getting that information, which is different from when we're getting blood work. Because when we're getting blood work, we're seeing what has been happening on the moment that we did the test. And on top of
fascinating.
Yeah, it's
That's
like a
true.
big
So like how much hair, I'm just asking this because I've never done it. How much hair do you test? I'm just curious.
it's about the size of a teaspoon. Like everybody has, some people will have lighter hair, some people will have heavier hair. My hair is pretty heavy, so I do not need a lot of hair. But with my daughter, like, I need to add a little bit more. I'm like, oh my gosh, she's balding. And I just made some ponytails. And I was like, oops, I cut right in the middle. And it's okay. She's fine. But leaving jokes aside, oftentimes I do have people with issues with hair falling. And that is their major concern. I'm like, oh my God, I already lost so much hair. Now I have to cut more. But it's really not, it's inconsiderable amount. It's really, really a small amount, and it's going to grow out. And aside from that, you're getting such an amazing information out of the test that can actually help you regrow the hair that you just lost. So it's just that thing the compromise that you have to do, and it's not gonna have to put the beanie on because you're gonna leave the house.
I feel like this is actually one of the questions that I had written down, but it was sharing 1 or 2 lifestyle shifts that can make the biggest impact on fertility outcomes. And I think that the HTMA is so interesting because that data gives you a way to help people support their mineral status. And I think that minerals has been like such a hot topic recently, but I think it's actually so cool because similar to like a food as medicine strategy, it gives people like a concrete way for them to see like, okay, like I'm low in X, so I can support it. And they feel like empowered because I feel like a lot of fertility feels like it's taken out of your hands. I don't know if you experience that, but like the HTMA, like it shows them data that they're like, oh, like I can do something about
It gives you something tangible.
Yeah.
Like
Because like
actually
fertility, otherwise I feel like a lot of people kind of have that wording of like, well, my doctor or like my specialist, and they don't feel like they don't have as much power over the situation.
Yes, it is. And oftentimes they get that blank statement of like, well, everything is normal. We're only doing this test. Let's see this test. And then they test, nothing comes out. And then they have to go back. Let's do this other test. And then do this other, and then nothing comes out. But we are going to look out from a different angle. It's not new information. It's just looking from a different angle. One thing that I didn't mention is that the hair tissue analysis, another difference is that it looks at what's happening inside the cell. It's not what's outside in the blood or anything like that. So we're going in on a cellular level. We want to see, is the mitochondria actually able to do what it's supposed to do? Are the hormones, thyroid hormones, right? My topic at the summit and the Witness Wellness, it was about thyroid hormones and thyroid symptoms. And even though the blood work shows all that's good, even in optimal ranges, if those hormones are having a hard time getting inside the cell to do what they're supposed to do, too bad. Nice that we have hormones, but if they're not getting inside, we're still going to have the symptoms. And metabolism is slow. Hormones are not being produced well. The body is just struggling to make any energy. Detoxification is impacted, and so many things. We really need to kind of look from every single angle to make sure that, with gut health and gut stool testing, and then again, neural testing and evaluations, blood work, inflammation, and da-da-da.
With this type of a test, I'm curious, if you have the test done and then you have your follow-up of what supplements you should take to get you back into balance, about how long does it take, and then do you get retested?
Yes. Typically, after the initial consultation and the initial kind of protocol, we give a 3 months time to work on the things, right? Add into those nutrition lifestyle recommendations, add the supplementation. Ideally we want to retest to see what the body has been doing. What response are we getting from those results? I actually got a test this morning from somebody, and their results were a lot different and higher. And she's actually pregnant right now. She got pregnant she's almost in her second trimester. So this was actually a retest. But when we see things shifting, especially in a positive way, like things are getting higher and sometimes again, even too high, means that the body is starting to move things around. It feels it has more energy to deal with the hard stuff that has been putting on the side. If you think about it, if you have a house that, it's full of laundry that hasn't been folded, but we are so sick we cannot get up. We'll just throw them in the closet somewhere, and then we'll just add them. This is what happens with heavy metals, for example, but also other minerals at the same time. And then when we feel better, we kind of open up the closet and start folding them. And it starts looking different, but it looks worse before it looks better, if that makes sense. So this is kind of like a picture, right? Because most of the tests that we are looking at, whether it's blood work, whether it's gut health, oftentimes the retest, it looks nice and pretty and clean and squeaky. Usually a retest on a mineral testing, it doesn't always look beautiful and well balanced. We're not looking for balance. We're looking for patterns, for positive patterns and positive shifts, because the body always changes.
Yeah, that's fascinating.
I think it's so cool just because it's, again, like another tool that women just aren't aware of that can be so impactful. I know you've had a lot of patients utilize it like during pregnancy.
Yeah.
Like a tool, and mineral support that they're focused on to support like them and their energy and how they're feeling during pregnancy too. Do you feel like, besides mineral support though, is there like one simple like swap or tool or action that you feel like you're always repeating, that you tell like every patient? Like if you could tell like, every fertility client that came through your door, if there was one tagline that you had tattooed, like what would that be? Yeah. Like what's the big idea that everybody gets?
Eat enough and eat regularly. Yes.
Yeah.
Going back to the basics of nutrition and making sure that we're having those nutrients, like the quality protein, as much plant foods as possible, so we can supply that raw material that the body needs.
Because minerals come from food. Yes. Like I think people always forget that. They're like, oh, well, I need more magnesium. I'm like, well, are you eating magnesium-rich food?
They just automatically think of like a vitamin
supplements.
Or a supplement.
Yeah, so naturally we in our modern world, foods don't have a lower level of magnesium now than it used to be. But that doesn't mean that we should just bypass the food and just go to the supplementation because it's not enough. So I'm just going to go and get a bunch of capsules of magnesium. But it's hard because there are so many things. There are so many pieces. There are just those pillars of health that if somebody eats pretty good, but they're super stressed, they're that type A, always monkey mind type of personality. They never sit down, never take a break, always feel like they are not enough. And that's very typical for women with PCOS, for example, which I'm one of them. And it's hard to get out of the head. And the nervous system is never going to feel safe And even with all the supplements and all the protocols and all the best and the food, and it's not going to make any difference unless we work on the nervous system. So probably if there's something that I have to choose, probably between the two, nervous system and the food.
What
It's
is
hard to
your
decide.
favorite for like nervous system support? Like, what does that mean for people who don't know what that is? How do you
Yeah.
support your nervous system?
There's so many tools out there. And I usually kind of give 5 to my clients, from breath work, doing breath work exercises. There are programs for that, or breathing exercises like the box breathing or the diaphragmatic breathing. There are 4-6-8 breathing techniques. There are so many breathing techniques, just somatic exercises. Other things, there are programs like Primal Trust, like the program, like the Heart Math program, meditation, of course, walking meditation, sitting in silence. Anything that kind of resonates with the person is the best approach to support the nervous system. And there are also other things. We can do chiropractic, we can do acupuncture. There's so many options out there, but it's kind of the opposite of what our society is now doing, of like always on the go.
For people that don't know, you're talking about nervous system regulation. I feel like most people don't know that their nervous system is dysregulated. So like,
What are
what are
signs?
some signs that, you might see in someone who would need that kind of support or lifestyle changes?
Yeah. I mean, the word that probably everybody will recognize will be feeling stressed and having stress. So, and some people will feel the stress and some people do not. Sometimes in HTMA, I can see that. I'm like, well, like that totally makes sense. The body's trying to cover and shut down, but symptoms specifically, one can be feeling fatigue, heart racing, sweating, just shaking, or inability to concentrate, or inability to kind of just sit still. It's kind of fidgety in that sense, right? Like, with a lot of moms I speak with, and they're like, oh, just sit down, get a glass of a cup of or whatever, and sit down on the couch for a few minutes and just before your day. I'm like, I feel that I'm not productive. So I need to do something. You do not have to do anything. That's a sign of nervous system dysregulation. So there are so many signs, but if everybody heard of feeling stressed, that's where kind of
I almost think of like the wired but tired.
Yes.
Like how like you'll feel like you want to rest, but you're just like so like,
And there are different stages of stress, right? There's the acute stage of stress, which oftentimes it's like kind of like instant stress that is healthy, a response to something, to the impulse. But when it comes chronic, it's constant, because we're on the traffic, there's an email, there are messages, there's the boss, there is the family, the kids, the husband, whatever, right? There is always something going on in our lives. Then we're always being pressed to do something, to respond. And after a while, the body becomes resistant and burned out. Just the body's trying to shut down and preserve energy. And the nervous system, like, okay, we're not going to spend much on this. We're just going to try to cover up and adapt. That's the kind of the big word. I'm fine. I've always been fine. That's not how I always been. Those type of, those personalities.
Like, this is my normal.
This is my normal. And it's, well, this is your adaptive way. This is how your body has been able to kind of worked with and to get you out of a specific situation, but it's not serving you at this point, especially when we're in the context of fertility, as we can see, has taken you out of that situation that happened, and it took you a long way, all the way here. But right now, it's not serving you, and kind of like taking out that identity out. It's a process, and it usually, if it goes up to this point in the conversation, I usually refer out to therapy to work with somebody that does that.
With that in mind, if there's like one myth about fertility that you wish women would stop believing, what is that? Or maybe one that you hear like the most often presented to you from patients?
Depends on, I have two. Depends on the situation. So one is that fertility only matters when you're trying to conceive. And like I said earlier, fertility is a sign that the body is feeling safe. But the other one, for those that have been struggling, is definitely the labs are normal. You're fine.
So there's always more to the picture.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But they kind of go back together, right? If we want to make sure that the body feels safe for fertility, and if the body is not being able to conceive, it means that the body is struggling with something.
Is there a particular type of client that you feel like you're able to help the most?
I think the type of client who is willing to ask questions. So not necessarily a client who wants or has a certain condition, particularly, is more of the client who wants to learn and wants to get their health to another level. Because we all, as practitioners, we all have our own skill sets and knowledge, but we're not know-it-all. But when we have clients who are willing to continue asking questions, will help us grow as well as practitioners and get better and better at it.
If somebody wants to support their fertility and work with you, what's the best way for them to find you?
If they want to learn more about me and what I do, first follow me on Instagram and social media. My handle is Fertility to Wellness. Or if they want to learn about my practice, my approach, they're interested in working with me, my website is the best place, fertilitytowellness.com.
So we like to close out the episode with just some fun questions to get to know you a little better, and so our listeners can as well. So what is your favorite mineral-rich food?
Coconut water.
Just straight, or is there a way you like to use it?
If I have time, I would love to add some salt. If I'm out and about, I'll probably not have the salt with me. But if I'm at home, I would like to sprinkle some salt, add some lemon, lime juice. That is my favorite. I'm usually a minimalistic type of gal.
Do you have a morning wellness ritual? And if so, what is it?
Again, I'm very minimalistic, but a glass of water first thing in the morning and brushing my teeth first, actually. I always brush your teeth first thing in the morning. Don't drink or eat before. But so brushing my teeth and doing the skincare routine because, age, drinking water, definitely drinking water, and breakfast. Those are my first two. And fortunately, now that the sun is no longer coming up as early when I wake up, but I make sure that whenever we go drop off my daughter, I go and get the sunlight exposure and take my glasses off and get that sun in my light at that sunrise.
Any favorite skincare products right now?
I love, and I've been using Rocasa's skincare. It's so nice and very easy to use.
What brings you joy right now? What sparks joy in this season?
Spending time with my daughter.
Love that. Can't beat that.
You hit a lot of really good takeaways where somebody could listen to this and be like, oh, those are really actionable. I could start doing that today.
And I still haven't said everything, right? Because it's hard to tap on everything.
Well, thank you so much for being with us and for sharing all of this amazing, helpful knowledge. You are such a great resource.
Oh, thank you so much. You guys are so adorable and you're amazing for everything that you do.
Love
I am so excited for people to hear more about this. I think it's going to be so helpful.